Hello, friends. I'm back again. And yeah, it's been a few days. I was doing a lot of things and it just didn't work out to be filming. And also, I felt like I had a lot to integrate, and I actually felt so complete that I thought the Ascension Chronicles project was done. And of course, I was going to let you know that when I had some time. But now I realize that uh, it's meant to keep going. I don't know if it's going to shift in one way or another, but I just feel like this new level of completion. And so, thank you so much for being with me through this last month and a bit as I've started posting every day. And like I've mentioned, similarly to the intuitive summaries in the books, I'm sharing what has been happening in my day and how I use the information from my team, from my higher self, to navigate it. And what has come up to share today was this really interesting phenomenon that happened when I returned to my home. And what I noticed was everything felt different. And things were different, and things were more to my liking. And I was just amazed. I felt like I was on a whole new timeline, on a whole different timeline. And the feeling was so obvious. And of course, while I was away, I was healing and integrating everything that came up and that I shared with you. And I also tapped into this, we could call it a manifestation technique, but I saw the results when I came home, and it's been very powerful. So what it is that I connect to my higher self, and we all can connect to our higher self. So I connect and I ask the question, is such and such going to happen? And I receive an answer. So I'm receiving vibrations. It's not like it's a dialogue back and forth. What I'm receiving is vibrations, and I interpret that because I've been listening to these guidance for so long. And we receive guidance in so many ways. I don't only receive guidance from vibrations. Sometimes it is audible words, sometimes visions, sometimes knowings or feelings. And then the guidance, that the signs, the synchronicities, and everything that happens in the external reality. But what I'm getting at is that before I left on this trip, I had a knowing, and Spirit let me know through vibrational signaling that what I preferred would be my reality. Yet I didn't know when. I thought it would be any time within 1 to 2 years. Well, it turns out it was a few days later. or I guess a week and a bit later if we count all the time. I was just referring to the days that I wasn't on YouTube there. So yeah, I get back and this had changed, and I was blown away. And what happened was that because Spirit let me know it was going to happen, whenever it came up, I focused on feeling relief that it was going to happen. And we can look at another aspect of life that we can practice this in. So in terms of anything that you desire, and Spirit lets you know this is going to happen. And you feel into the feeling when that happens. For me, it was relief, just relief. Because I accept everything as it is. I'm grateful for everything. Yet I knew that once this thing had shifted, I would just, I would just feel freer and everything. Yet the whole point of what I'm saying is that we can feel free right now. We can feel the relief right now. We can feel all the ways that we desire to feel and that we are going to feel once whatever shifts in our reality. We can feel that all right now because we have the thumbs up from Spirit letting us know this is going to happen. So that requires us to trust in something that is not seen, is not logical. Well, it may be logical, but it may not be. But either way, it requires us to completely trust what we are receiving from within, from our team, from our higher self, and to go all in on that. And so this is what I did. And it works so well and so fast that I am going to continue doing this with anything in my life that I would like to shift. And of course, a lot of manifestation teachers talk about this, yet I had never seen the results so quickly and so profoundly in my own life. And that's what I'm sharing on this channel, is what I have experienced and what I have found. And because you're attracted to this video, there is something in here for you. I am sure there is, or else it would not have shown up on your feed, or you would not have clicked the link. So yeah, it's tapping into what you prefer. So say your reality is a certain way right now, and you would like it to be different in the future. For example, maybe you've been doing a lot of inner work and you are craving community. And you've had to let people go. You've had to move on from different relationships or even jobs that were not in vibrational alignment anymore. And they were wonderful while they were. They assisted you, they assisted me. And so everything had its purpose, everything had its season. But once we risen our vibration, we were just no longer vibrationally compatible with these other energies or spaces or places. And so we moved on. And now we are here thinking, oh, that would be so nice to do this with someone or that or what have you. And so what we can do in this case is tap into the feeling that we have when we are sharing this community. How does it make us feel? And go for the strongest one and the first one that comes to mind, like what immediately comes to mind. And for me, when I mentioned that, it was joy and laughter. So, and then another one that came up for me was just that feeling of when you're with other people, you just feel comfortable. Yet we can feel that comfort knowing that our spirit team is with us, our spirit guides, and we can call on ascended masters and archangels and other members of our light team, and they are happy to be our friends at all times and in all spaces. Yet sometimes we are interested in having physical human connections, and then so this is what these feelings can come up. So So yeah, and then another one that's coming up right now is expansion, because when you have a friend to do adventures with, you tend to go further or do more out of the box things than perhaps you would do on your own. Yet again, what I've found on my journey is that our spirit team they're just the best, and they're with us at all times. So yeah, we have friends for life, all around us, and that's another thing we can tune into at any time. And again, we can call on Ascended Masters if we are in feeling like we would like some extra assistance, or any beings in the higher realms, and they're always happy to assist us. And so there's that. Yet I was just wanting to come up with an example to show you what I mean by tuning into a certain feeling. So let's just go with this feeling of joy. So every time you find yourself feeling like a human friend, you can feel that joy of having a human friend or friends. And you can feel that. Or even if you would like to, what's coming through is that we have also many star friends, many beings from other planets, soul family members that are members of interstellar races and all sorts of cool stuff like that. So we could also think of being with them, being with like a very, very high vibrational being from another planet. So that's really exciting. And like how much love we would feel in their presence. And when we think of other humans, we can think of being surrounded by other awakened ones that although we've all been through stuff, that have chosen to alchemize, to transmute, and to shine their light in this world, rather than focus on all these old beliefs and programs. So yeah, there's great joy in both of those. And also, if you haven't met your spirit team, there would be great joy in feeling how that would feel to know that you have beings that you can count on 24/7, 365 days a year, that'll be with you through thick and thin, and that are with you through thick and thin. And to get to know them, and so if you haven't got to know them, this could be helpful for that. And all of this to say is that it's this feeling of experiencing what we are longing to experience, or what we would prefer. And we feel this, and whenever we find ourselves in some old story or something, seeing how our external reality is and it's not quite how we prefer, we shift to that preferred feeling. So we actually make, whenever we see something that we don't prefer, we actually use that as this like internal shift or internal reminder to feel how we will feel when our preferred outcome is manifest, or when we experience it. So, for example, if one is feeling lonely, they can take that feeling and then shift to the feeling of being with their spirit team, star family, or human friends. So it's using what is unpreferred to get to what is preferred. And that was what I did, is that every time something came up that I didn't prefer, it was a cue to shift to the feeling of how it felt to experience what I did prefer. And what happens here? So when we are thinking, feeling, and then acting all in the same, we'll call it vibration, frequency, we are in coherence. I could have said alignment, but when I say alignment, I mean that we are acting as our true self, as our higher self. And so that's why I use a different word here. So, and coherence, I think of when we are feeling, thinking, and acting all for the same goal, the same outcome, the same thing that we prefer. So how does this look? So when we think that thought about what is in our reality that we don't prefer, we use that as the catalyst. It's like, it's the thing that dings off and we're like, okay, feel how you do want to feel. So then we start feeling how we desire to feel. And as soon as we feel that, it starts a loop. So just like how when we have a thought, each thought produces a corresponding emotion, which basically translates into how we feel. We can do it the other way around, where we feel the feeling first and then start thinking thoughts that are in coherence with that feeling. So back to this example about community, we can, if we're feeling a little bit like we'd like a friend, oh, okay, that makes me shift to this feeling of joy that I am with my friend and we can have a laugh, we can share what is on our heart without judgment, we can feel the beautiful love within each other. And so, even feeling it, I can really feel it. So you feel that, and then your mind starts creating, your imagination starts going and expanding what could happen. So you go from this feeling of joy to, oh, and we could do this, or we could go there, or we could talk about this, or you get what I'm saying. So then this brings the thoughts. And then when we're thinking and feeling in that way, well, then our actions are just going to naturally reflect that. Because when our feelings are so powerful. When we can really shift how we feel to how we prefer to feel, wow, the actions just follow naturally. And I'm seeing this in my life, like in a multiple different scenarios and multiple different things, is that whenever I shift the way I feel about it, I shift the way I think about it. And then once that's in coherence, your actions will just naturally be in coherence with that. And we could also call this heart coherence. So coherence with our feelings and our thoughts. And so, and often when we're learning about manifestation, we practice this feeling of how it feels. Yet when we use this thing where whenever it comes up what is unpreferred to shift to what is preferred, we are sending out the signal more and more frequently. And what I notice happen in my life is that once I shifted to how I preferred to feel about it, the old story didn't come up, at least for a period of time. And when it did, I shifted it. And then it didn't come up for another period of time. And when it did, I shifted it. So it's shifting it every time it comes up. And then the signal will be more, well, just stronger, because the more we think of what we don't prefer, the more we just get that. And when we're thinking of what we don't prefer, we don't feel very good, and so we're attracting more of the same. So when we shift how we are going to feel when what we prefer occurs, then the thoughts correspond, and then naturally our actions correspond. And this action can actually look like nothing, like just freedom. It's because you've put to rest this old story, and so you're not living from that anymore, and you're tuned in now to this new reality. And you know it's true because, like we talked about at the beginning of this video, you received it from your higher self. Or what I do is I ask my higher self if it is going to, if it's on my timeline, if it's going to actually happen. And then I receive the answer. And then when I know it's actually going to happen, I have so much trust, which makes it so easy to shift the feeling to what is preferred. And we can also think of this as like shifting from the old self to the new self. Every time we feel how we want to feel instead of how we don't. And the more we do this, the more we will see things change. And I was just so blown away by this yesterday and today. It's so nice when we have like a really concrete evidence of this. Yet we have to trust, because if I didn't trust, I would still be in those stories and not feeling good, and who knows what would have happened. And here's the other thing. I mentioned I received it could be in 1 month or up to 2 years that this thing that I would prefer would happen in my reality. And it happened way faster than I thought. You know, it makes us wonder, oh, would that time have changed if I wasn't in coherence? Well, probably. Yet I don't know that. I could tune into spirit and ask. And I'm receiving a positive signal about that. So yeah, but the other thing is that when we feel the way we want to feel, nothing actually has to change. Really. Because we only wanted that thing to change outside of us so that we would feel in a different way. Yeah, so I trust that you're understanding. So it's when we can shift the way we feel about something, even if it took the full 2 years, it would reach a point where it didn't even matter because I was already feeling the way I wanted to feel. Yet when we do feel that way, reality shifts to reflect back to us what is within us. And so then we can experience these kind of things. Yet that's what was really fascinating for me, because that's the point that I had gotten to, is that I had let go of the timing for these things to change, and I said, well, I'm just going to feel the way I want to feel regardless. And that way I wanted to feel would be the way that I would feel when reality reflected what I preferred, but I felt it before. So then nothing actually had to change. So it's true, nothing outside of you actually has to change. All it has to change is what is within. And then the reality outside just reflects that, mirrors that back to us. Oh, it's good to be back, and I trust that you're all doing well. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate seeing that others are viewing these videos, and I trust that you're getting a lot out of them. And yeah, if you have any kind of experiences like this, I would be really interested to read about that. Yet I'm here to just be a testimony to let you know it actually does work. It's not just people saying these things on manifestation channels or what have you. It actually does work when you really, really trust, really surrender, really let go of the attachments, really feel how you want to feel right now. Think of your dreams and think of how you will feel once they materialize. And then every time you notice that you're not living your dream life, shift to that feeling of how it feels to live your dream life. And make that the catalyst that gets you to shift to that feeling. And then the more you feel that way, the more you will think thoughts in correspondence with that. And when you think like that and you're feeling like that, that's when we naturally take actions that are in coherence with that. And then you may go for a little trip somewhere and come back and see that everything has changed. It's like Twilight Zone stuff, but in a really positive way. I actually haven't even watched the Twilight Zone, yet I know that it's been a saying that things happen. but yeah, it's like surreal. This would be perhaps just another word for it. Surreal, awe-inspiring, amazing. It was so good I was having a hard time even believing that it was, things had shifted in this way. Yet again, even if they hadn't, it wouldn't have mattered because I had already shifted how I felt about everything. So that's the really interesting part about it, is when we do our inner work, when we let go of the old beliefs, the programs, letting go of the resistance, and then choosing what we do prefer and choosing to feel that way without needing to control the reality, without resistance to the current circumstances, without attachments to any specific outcome, then things can shift quite easily and quite quickly. And I will continue to give updates as I move along, and let you know whenever Spirit guides me to speak about this topic again. And yeah, but I will leave you to it, and I wish you a beautiful rest of your day or night, and sending you much love and blessings on your journey. Ciao.